One of the important things that I really stress in leadership is hiring and developing the right people and making sure you have the right people in the right seats on the bus. And that's situational. So sometimes as businesses change, as the industry changes around you, you have to move people around to different places so they can do their best work. And you have to take chances on young and up-and-coming high potential people to give them great opportunities, because they'll really help change the game for companies.
Maggie Wilderotter, you are the CEO of Frontier, and we're so excited that you're here. I can't tell you how thrilled the folks in Cookeville, Tennessee, the Upper Cumberland, all of us we're just happy to have you here. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's been a great day to be in Cookeville.
And we're going to talk a lot about your visit. I know you went to Tennessee Tech. You had an opportunity to visit some industry. But you know, you have quite a resume. When I was looking, you recently, Fortune magazine named you one of the top 50 women in business. You are one of 21 women CEOs running Fortune 500 companies. You're the only female CEO of a telecom Fortune 500 company, right?
That's correct, yes.
That is amazing. And you have had a variety of jobs throughout your career. But when I heard you speak today to students, I was just so impressed with you as a person. And I think our viewers would be as well. You grew up in New Jersey?
I'm a Jersey girl, yes.
And tell me a little bit about that. We're going to talk about Frontier. We're going to talk about the incredible things you're doing. But
sure.
I think it's important for us to know that at some point you were just a regular American girl.
Absolutely. I went to public school, public high school, and I grew up in a family of 4 girls. And my parents really raised all 4 of us to be independent, to be confident, to understand that education is the most important thing that we would do. Because if you really got a great education, including a college education, the world was really our oyster. And you know, my dad was an executive, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, but when I got into high school, my mother became a real estate agent so she could balance home and work. And she became one of the top 3 real estate agents in the state of New Jersey. So she's very accomplished in her own right. And I think the combination of my dad and mom together really showed me that I could have a career, I could have a family, and I could make that work.
You know, you talked about sitting down and having dinner every night with your family and how your dad would talk about business and just, he had to be such an encouraging dad to have these 4 girls, but really encourage you to pursue your passion.
Yeah, we teased him all the time to say that, you know, if he had boys, it would have been very different, but we were the only material he had to work with. And my dad instilled in us responsibility and accountability, and to work for what you want very early on in life. I can remember when I wanted to get a bike upgraded to a 10-speed, I had to write a business case for that in order to present that to him.
How old were you?
I was 8.5 years old.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And you know, we had job jars in our household that we all had jobs put in once a week by my parents, and we had to do those jobs throughout the week. And then if we accomplished our jobs, we would get our allowance. And I remember it was one of the ways that my older sister Denise and I learned how to negotiate, because we'd trade jobs on and off, and if you do these 2, I'll do your 1. But it also showed us that you would pay for performance, which is, of course, a great lesson in terms of how I even lead today. So we grew up in a household that was fun, too. It was about giving back. We used to do carnivals for muscular dystrophy to raise money. We were active in our communities in terms of the school that we went to. I know even when I was in junior high and high school, I was active in the local community, even as a student, and that was important as well.
Well, let's talk about your sister, your older sister Denise, because she also is a CEO of Campbell Soup, so another Fortune 500 company. How unusual is that to have 2 siblings in these high-level positions?
Yeah, we tease each other because there's only 4% of the Fortune 500 that are run by women. And Denise and I are 10% of that 4%.
That is.
And my mother, of course, refers to herself as Mother Superior.
Yes,
So,
yes.
but it's wonderful. Denise and I are only 13 months apart, so we grew up very closely together. We've always supported each other in our careers. We took very different paths. She was always in food and consumer products. I went more the technology and entrepreneurial route. So we were able to give each other advice during different, moments of time in our career, but we didn't conflict with each other. We never competed with each other for types of jobs or ever worked in the same types of industry. So it's been very special, I know, for both of us.
And you have two other sisters who are also very successful.
They are. I have a sister, Colleen, who's 5 years younger than I am, and a sister, Andrea, who's 10 years younger than I am.
Wow.
Both of them are very accomplished. Colleen is in software, and Andrea is one of the top dressage riders and trainers, amateur in the United States.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, was there a career, when you look back on what you've done, is there something that you thought, man, I wish I'd have kind of done that? Is there anything that you wish maybe you had pursued that you didn't?
Actually, no. I'm not a person that does a lot of looking back. I'm always looking where I'm going, because I think that's the most important thing. I look at the things that I've done, and I've had a lot of very incredible experiences, both personally and professionally. And I've built on those. And I think those building blocks are extremely important for how you think about what you're going to do the next 5 years or the next 10 years. And I'm very good at planning. I'm a planful person. I kind of look ahead, not just for my company, but for myself, my family. And I want to make sure that I take those experiences and I bring the learnings forward. That's what matters.
That's great. And you told a story today that just showed you started planning very early. You told a story about when you were in junior high, you ran on the council, or you made an appeal to be on your city council?
Yes, I was a representative on our city council for the schools, and I was in 7th grade at the time. And it was important because I felt that students were a big constituent in our community and they should be represented. I was also president of my class at the time, and in high school I was president of my class and president of the student council as well. So I always took sort of a civic responsibility even at a young age. And I did tell the students today a very funny story about in 7th grade. It was during the Vietnam War, so It's a very long time ago. But we had a couple vets in our community that had lost either one or both legs in Vietnam. We were hosting a dinner, a fundraising dinner for their families. And I sent 4 tickets to the President of the United States with a little note that I wrote asking him if he and the First Lady and his Vice President and his wife would join us for dinner. I didn't tell anybody I did it, but I felt I should be fundraising just like everybody else on the council for this fundraiser. So about 2 weeks later, I was sitting in math class and someone walks in and my math teacher says, "Maggie, the White House is on the phone for you downstairs." So I went down to the office. There's the principal, the vice principal, everybody's kind of hovering around. And I got on the phone with a staffer for the president who called to inform me that unfortunately the president was busy and could not attend the fundraiser, but thanked me very much for inviting him. I asked about the vice president and his availability. And he wasn't available either. So I went for the close. I said, well, are they sending a check for the tickets?
That's great.
And I got 2 big checks
to
present to both families at the fundraising dinner from the president and the vice president.
And
so it was worth it.
It was worth it, and
Yes.
probably a lesson learned, right?
Yes.
You have to be persistent. You have to.
Yes.
You don't have to be afraid to ask.
That's the whole point. The point is don't box yourself in on things that you can do or could be done, and imagine no limits.
Right. Let me tell you one thing I'm so impressed about you being here. Cookeville's located in a rural part of Tennessee.
Yes.
I know Frontier has a strong commitment to rural communities, and you particularly have really been vocal about serving rural communities across the nation. So why is that? Why is that important?
Well, I believe that if you live in a rural community in the United States, you shouldn't have services that are less than if you want to live in Chicago or New York or Washington, D.C. And I believe if you think about transformation in today's world, it's about broadband access. It's about having the right technologies to do what you want to do both personally and professionally. And Frontier is the largest provider of these services in rural America today. We're in 27 states, 180 markets, and we take that very seriously. And I actually travel around to a lot of our markets. I try to go to a third of them minimum a year. I've been CEO of Frontier for going on 9 years now. This is my third trip to Cookeville. So I have friends here too. And what I find so rewarding is how we have changed lives and livelihoods, how we have helped people accomplish what they want in life. And I think all CEOs of companies should focus on their businesses having a purpose that's greater than just what you do and how you do it. It's about doing something that really matters. And for us, it matters to bring great services to rural America.
And high-speed internet in particular
Yes.
creates jobs for entrepreneurs who are now locating really into rural areas because they like the quality of life and the many outdoor activities that it offers. But they can actually work anywhere in the world because of high-speed internet, right?
Yes, high-speed internet actually, I call it, it's a democratization with technology, because you can run a business that's global from a rural community. It really levels that playing field and gives you access to the whole world. And to have that opportunity is really wonderful for people that choose a lifestyle where they can get to know their neighbors, where their kids can go to good schools, where there's a real sense of community. And I think that is a fabric of how our country has been built, and we should never leave that behind.
You met a woman today who's been a long-time residential customer, I believe over 27 years or something of Frontier consistently. How important are those residential customers?
They're very important to us. If I look at our customer base across the country, we have over 3 million residential customers, and those customers rely on us for broadband, so for high-speed internet access, for phone service, as well as for video. We have a partnership with the Dish Network where we provide what we call in our industry a triple play of all three services for our customers. And then we have other services that surround that. So for our residential customers, one of the things that's also important is making sure that we help our customers protect what they do online. Because in a lot of cases, we're very open with our information. And we start to rely on high speed to house all of our photos, our important documents, our emails, how we communicate. And what you don't want to have happen is anybody take that away from you. Or if your computer breaks, you lose all your information. So Frontier also backs up for our customers all of their vital information on a daily basis. So anytime you update your information, we can take a copy of it and keep it secure for you. We also provide identity theft protection, computer security. And so we really try for our residential customers to surround them with services, not just the basic products.
You know, I wanted to ask you, because you're talking about security, you just got off the phone with President Obama. I mean, just like 30 minutes before you came here to do this interview, because you're chair of the President's Telecommunications Security Advisory Team, is that right?
That's correct. That's correct.
And that's got to be a really important job, but also challenging, because cybersecurity really is a growing need for all of us. So as citizens, what do we need to know about that?
Well, I had the opportunity to meet face-to-face with the president a couple weeks ago on this very topic, because cybersecurity is very important to him. He mentioned it in the State of the Union speech. He also put out an executive order on cybersecurity to help really reinforce what industry needs to do in working with partnership with the government. And I think everyone should think about cybersecurity in two buckets. One is the problem is we have cyber thieves out there that are stealing your information, your data, your identity. And then we have nation states that are spying on companies for intellectual property and for taking their plans or strategies and breaking in and hacking into their computer systems, or raising havoc on our banking system. And what we're trying to do as a country is to get government and private business to work together to make sure we can win the war against cybersecurity, that we have the right defenses, and that we can also be offensive to know when things are going to be coming at us. And it's a privilege to lead this committee on behalf of the president. There are 36 CEOs that come from all different facets of industry. We run the critical infrastructure in the United States today, and we're working together with government agencies like the National Security Agency, the Department of Defense, the Department of Homeland Security, and the White House to make sure we have the right partnerships to be cohesive on this subject.
That has to be a challenging committee to sort of monitor and engage and move forward, but you're accustomed to that because Frontier is pretty large and you're used to doing that, moving and engaging.
Yes, and I think when you deal with other CEOs, we're all very action-oriented. We're decisive in terms of how we think about topics, subjects, coming to conclusion, making recommendations. And that's basically what we do. We're not policymakers at all. We just make recommendations to the president on things he should be thinking about that would be best for the country.
Now, you know, when you talk about leading a company, and you've had a career of doing this, and now at Frontier a number of years of doing that, what is the most challenging, or what are the important things you need to know to be a leader?
Well, I think it really starts with people. You know, leadership is about bringing people together for a common cause that will focus on delivering value in business. And that value is to customers, it's to shareholders, and frankly, it's to employees as well, because it creates value for them as part of that process. So one of the important things that I really stress in leadership is hiring and developing the right people, and making sure you have the right people in the right seats on the bus. And that's situational. So sometimes as businesses change, as the industry changes around you, you have to move people around to different places so they can do their best work. And you have to take chances on young and up-and-coming high-potential people to give them great opportunities, because they'll really help change the game for companies.
And how important is it to be able to make a decision?
It's extremely important. And I always come from the school that when you're in leadership, the people around you are looking for you to make decisions. So you have to assess information, gather the input, evaluate it, make a stand, take a course, and then course correct from that point of view. And that mobilizes organizations instead of freezing organizations waiting for a decision to happen.
You know, we're a PBS station, and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting's in the midst of a wonderful initiative that WCTE is in part of, and that's Women and Girls Lead. And we're doing documentaries. We did an American Graduate documentary featuring women and girls. And you are a strong mentor for women. Yes. And you've made a point of that. Can you share how important that is to mentor?
Absolutely. And I don't think it has to be formal programs. I think it has to be just something that you do every single day. For me, it's in my DNA. So when I came to Frontier almost 9 years ago, I was the only senior woman in the company, and there was a vice president we had of human resources, and that was it in the top couple hundred people in the organization. Today, I have there's 7 people on the senior leadership team. 4 of them are women. If you look at my regional presidents, I have 4 presidents that run the country for me. 2 are men, 2 are women. And we have about 50-50 in terms of our leadership throughout the organization from a woman executive perspective. Because I believe inclusion and diversity helps us make better decisions for customers. And our customer base, 50% of the decisions made for telecommunications in the home are made by women. They do consult usually with their husbands about sports packages, but on the basic packages, it's really made by a lot of women. So I think it's just good business to do that.
Now that's interesting you mentioned sports, because that was the career I was going to ask you if you maybe had thought of pursuing, was a sportscaster.
I did. When I graduated from college, I had done play-by-play basketball, baseball, and hockey on our college radio station. And in addition to that, I had 2 music shows that I did. But I looked at that when I graduated, and because I really didn't have a lot of experience, just college experience, I would have to do graveyard shows. And I decided at 21 years old, that's not something I really wanted to do. So I pursued a different course of action. I went to work for a bank. That was the first job.
Oh, there you go. And then you married your junior high sweetheart?
I did. My husband Jay has been my partner for going on 36 years and my best friend and my biggest supporter. And as a senior woman in business and having two wonderful children too, I have two boys that are 26 and 28, I couldn't have done it without his help and his support. So I'm very grateful for that, and I'm also blessed.
You know, I think you are. You talked about balance and how important it is to have balance in your life. You said this to these students about serving others is a big part of that balance, and having passion and knowing when to disengage from business and engage in your family. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, I would say that there is no such thing as balance. So I want to set the record straight. Yes. But I think there is such thing as prioritization and compartmentalization. So I kind of live by those two philosophies. One is you look at the different moments in time and you prioritize how you spend your time. And then there's the other piece is when I'm at work, I'm all in. I'm giving it 150%. That's what I'm doing. That's who I am. But when I go home, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and I really spend the time in the moment with my family. I'm not off in the corner on my BlackBerry. I think that's important. I think you have to make sure you're in the moment and you're making the most out of the roles that you have in life. And we all have very different roles to play. So I do try to work at that. I'm good at it. And I also know that that helps refresh me for any role that I have.
You know, I love the fact that your husband has followed his passion, right?
Yes.
He owns a vineyard and makes wine.
Yes, he does. He's a winemaker, and we've had a vineyard for 22 years. So he's got the best job in the world. Yes, I'm running around the country, running a big company with all the stress that goes along with that. And my husband is growing grapes and making great wine in the state of California. So.
And your two sons are wonderfully successful. One's a fireman, I believe you said, and one's working on an MBA.
Yes, my older son Christopher is a fireman in Santa Clara, California. He just delivered his first baby a couple weeks ago. He's also been in paramedic school, and he'll graduate from paramedic school in the next several weeks. So I'm very proud of him. And my youngest son Danny is at Kellogg School getting his MBA. So I'm proud of him as well.
Well, they have to be proud of you.
They are, and they both, my younger son just got married, and he married a very strong young woman from SMU, so it's nice to see that. And then my older son is engaged to be married, and his fiance is also a very strong woman. So that's nice to see that they're not afraid of that. And I know I have a lot of influence on helping with that.
What do you think? You know, it seems like everyone in your family really has followed a passion. How important is it to find something that you can be passionate about in your work?
I think it's extremely important. I think we get up every day, and sometimes we give the best hours of our day to our jobs. So we should really enjoy it. And you can find passion in anything. But what you have to do is look for what the upside of that passion is and really follow your dreams. I know with the students at Tennessee Tech today, I spent some time talking about taking risk, going outside the box. Don't think conventionally about who you are and what you do. Think about how you want to be and what you want to do, and take some chances in order to get there. That's what will deliver learning, even if you fail. Failure is just part of the process of learning to get to the yes of success.
Well, and you talked about learning. You talked about that continuation of learning, that it doesn't have to be formalized, but you need to pursue that, right?
Yes, it's lifelong learning. I have a great education from Holy Cross College up in Worcester, Massachusetts, a good Jesuit liberal arts school, and I think liberal arts education is terrific as well. And I chose to go to work after college because I did get married young to my husband Jay, and he was in the Air Force, so we got transferred right away out to the West Coast. So I went right to work. But I also encourage students to get MBAs or to get higher education degrees if that's what their passion is, or they're trying to seek out what they want to do. But I also believe once you're in the workforce, you need to continue to learn. I read, I try to make sure that I stay up on what's going on in my industry, what goes on in our country, what goes on around the world, because the more knowledgeable I am, the better choices I can make for Frontier. It's also when I come to the markets, like being here in Cookeville, I learn from our customers, I learn from our partners, and I learn from our employees. One of the great things I got to do today was to have an all-employee meeting. And with both all of our employees here in Cookeville and also Crossville. They came down to the meeting, and it was really terrific because it's questions and answers, it's hearing what's on their minds. They can really let me know what's going on with our customers, how we have to continue to make improvements. And I always go back with a better understanding of what I can do to make Frontier better.
You know, you mentioned that you are your company's #1 recruiter.
Yes.
And how hard is it to stay and rise up within a company? Do you have to move around to really find success, or can you move up within?
I think it depends on what you want to do. I think you have to choose companies that have paths that you can follow and be successful in. In our company, we move you around a lot. We give you experience in a lot of different areas. So when I hire, I look for athletes. I don't look for specialists. I look for people that can do multiple things because they have capabilities to do that. And a good example is my head of human resources, who's a woman in our company, also runs a new business startup with a very large P&L. And she also runs all of our marketing services. So most people wouldn't think about a human resource professional doing that. But in our company, that's great because she has the skill base to do that. And I move people around a lot. So where the needs of the company are, we'll move the great athletes in order to work in those areas. And that type of a culture is important for innovation, for repotting, for thinking differently, for renewing passion.
You know, we are out of time, and I hate that because I've just enjoyed this so much. Can I just ask one last question?
Sure.
What's next for you?
Well, from here, I'll fly back and I'll take another trip next week to another market.
There you go.
But I'm enjoying what I'm doing today. I don't really try to look at what I'm going to do next until I would put closure on what I'm doing today. But what's most important is that I keep at the balance of my family, my work, and doing the things that are important, the things that I love.
We're so happy you're here.
Thank you so much. It's been great to be with you.
Thank you.